I'm going to tell a folk tale from another part of Iran, which is in the east, a city called Mashhad, which is in the sort of semi-arid zone of Iran. So there are more deserts there than there would be in Iran, which is quite green and lush. Mashhad is a very important city in Iran, religiously, in terms of folklore, and that's because Mashhad is a city of pilgrimage. And as a city of pilgrimage, it's a city of mystery and legend. And there's a whole folklore just surrounding the city of Mashhad, and the stories are extraordinary. The story I'm going to tell tonight has many versions, not only in Mashhad, but in Iran and Afghanistan and Turkey, and I'm sure there's a version in the Muslim South Asia. It's the story of Samd Sabur, the patient stone. It's a very ancient story, a story believed to be of Sufi origin, a very mysterious story that's told in different ways in different parts of these different countries, different regions. And this Mashhad version I found particularly extraordinary, so I'm really very delighted to have the privilege to tell this version of Samd Sabur, the patient stone, tonight, with an accompaniment which actually completely amplifies the experience for me. So I do hope you enjoy it. It's the story, as I said, of Samd Sabur, the patient stone, which goes something like this.
یکی بود، یکی نبود، غیر از خود هیچکی نبود. Long ago, when there was no one but God, a stone fell from paradise and landed in the middle of the desert. The stone was called Samd Sabur, the patient stone. And every night Samd Sabur would look up into a sky without stars, without moon, and it would cry out to the dark sky, "When will I be touched by the moonlight? When will I be touched by the moonlight?" Then one night a full moon appeared in the sky that glowed like a silver disc. It cast moonbeams across the sky, and one of the moonbeams landed on Samd Sabur, and it became so filled with light. It shone like a bright star, and it trembled as if it was about to burst. Until from in the middle of it there opened an eye. And this is what the eye saw. It saw a girl called Manzar. And every morning she would go to the fountain behind her house to perform her morning ablutions. And every time she visited the fountain, a face would look back at her from inside the fountain. It was the face of an old woman. She would smile at the little girl, Manzar, and reach out with a hand from the well. A hand made of glass, you could look through it. And with that hand, she would stroke her cheek. And then she would take another hand from that well and stroke the other cheek of Manzar. And each time she stroked each cheek, she would say the same thing again and again. Harpayani, sayeye, agazi de garas. Harpayani, sayeye, agazi de garas. Every end is the shadow of another beginning. Every end is the shadow of another beginning. And Manzar would shake her head at the old woman and she would say, Bale Aziz, yes, Grandma, I know that this is all too true. Then, one morning, she went off on her way to school, and she was wearing a headscarf of bright blue satin that glistened in the sun. How proud she was of it, as she walked down the street on the way to the madrasa, on the way to school. As she did so, walking down that road, there was a wind that got stronger and stronger. It was so strong that it made her headscarf flutter in the wind. And then with one gust of wind, blew the headscarf from her head. And then the headscarf went into the air, flying like a big blue bird. And Manzar ran after that headscarf, chasing it like the blue bird. She ran so fast she could hear her friends in the background cry out, Manzar, Manzar, you'll be late for school. But still Manzar ran and ran and ran, as the wind tossed the headscarf down the winding roads of her town, passed through the gates of her town, and beyond that there was a desert, and the wind blew the headscarf, flying as she ran after it, tumbling up and down the sand dunes. She ran as fast as she could, and she could see that blue scarf just ahead of her, running and running and running. She ran for so long, and then she saw in the distance walls emerging from the sand dunes, and there was a gate, and then the wind blew her headscarf through the gates. There is where I'll find it, she cried out, and she ran and she ran and she ran past through those gates, and there it was, and she picked up her headscarf, and she was about to turn around, and then the gates closed behind her, and she was trapped inside. It was only then that she noticed where she was. What a beautiful garden! All the trees around her, covered in orange blossoms, gently shading the midday sun. There were irises and hyacinths, and there were rose bushes. A nightingale singing to the rose bush. A dove white in snow in every branch of every tree.